Okay, and now we started recording. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to send us a like, subscribe to our channel, and all that good stuff. Welcome to another Hayek Live. I am Edson Agatti, professor, founder, and CEO of Hayek Global College, a higher education institution committed to educating ethical and responsible leaders for a freer, more prosperous, and peaceful world. Our guest today is a mathematician, a programmer, and an IT executive who acted as CIO for 5 years at UNICEPLAC, Prime University in Brasilia. He's also one of the founding professors of Hayek Global College and now is the CEO of AgattiTech, a company dedicated to creating high technology programs in education and websites and everything, all that good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Igor Lima. Igor, it's with you now.
Thank you, Edson. Thank you for that introduction. First of all, I want to thank everyone that's here at this Hayek Live, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to share my screen now. Here we go. Edson, I'm not being able to see the chat. If anyone talks, if you could please give them voice so I can answer any queries that they might have.
I will let you know.
Thanks. So BI versus big data, what is the difference? But before we begin talking about BI and big data, let's start with the basics. What is data? Can anyone answer that?
Anyone want to give it a try? You can also interact in the chat if you'd like. I would give it a try, Igor. What is data?
Right.
Is data, I don't know, information? I'm not from the IT business, so I can try.
Right.
Any type of information?
Information? That's pretty close. That's pretty close. Data is the observations collected from the likes of field notes, surveys, and experiments. And without it, according to W. Edwards Deming, you're pretty much just another person with an opinion.
So we've just got a comment here from Gabriela. She also asked if data is information.
Data is raw information. It's basically observations in which you can draw conclusions from it. The conclusions are the information. So data is pretty much observations that you've collected. And what is a database?
I don't know.
Anyone? Edson, Gabriela, Anna, David, Andrea? Well, all right. A database is an organized collection of data. So pretty much you collect the observations and you organize it. It's simple as that. If you put it handwritten on a spreadsheet, you've got a database. If you digitally put it into a spreadsheet, you've got a database. And if you do a structured and unstructured database, you also got a database. And we'll get to that.
I got another comment here from Gabriela. It's an index of the collected info.
Yeah, pretty much. You can index your database. The index is the organization of the database. So let's get to the meat of the presentation. Why should you care about data? What is big data? Why should you care about big data? Well, to start off, China uses and has been using big data to prevent the spread of COVID. They've been filming people through CCTV cameras, and they have monitored who has been reported with COVID and who they have been close to and who they interact with. So people get a notification on their phones to tell them whether they should go out, should stay home, or should stay isolated. And that has helped prevent the spread of COVID in China. Another application is Amazon opening grocery stores with no cashiers. People just go in, they tap their phones, and they have cameras looking at people, whether they picked up an item from the shelf, whether they put it back, and they charge the person after they go out the grocery store automatically to their credit card, and they send a receipt to their email. So if you work in a grocery store, watch out, Amazon is there to get you. And also Netflix. Netflix collects data of what you've watched, how you watched it, and all your behavior throughout the movie experience. And then with that, they show you shows in which you probably would like to watch. So Netflix is also in the business of big data. But before we get into big data, what is business intelligence?
BI, what is the famous BI?
What is BI?
We have more people coming in now.
All right.
We're asking the question of what is business intelligence, the famous BI. Anyone want to give it a try? Feel free to open your microphone, speak up, or if you'd like to chat too.
It's the big the data you collect from people who would be interested in something about your business or anything like your business or related to your business.
That's a pretty close answer. Business intelligence is an automatic system that gathers, stores, and transforms data into useful information for business purposes. For example, everybody has seen one of these turnstiles, probably in your school or in a local library. How would you apply BI to that? We have a couple examples down here. How many students go through the turnstiles each day? And how does that correlate to their grades, for example, in a school environment? Their presence in the turnstiles, does it influence their grades or does it not? If it's a present course, of course. Does anyone have any more examples that they would like to share? And have a go.
I'm trying to think of so we could try to correlate that with what are some applications we could do? We call that in Portuguese catraca, right? For the Brazilian people there, the catraca in the schools.
Yeah.
So that's one type of thing you can use. Maybe you can correlate that with the students' grades. That's what you said already, right?
Yes. We can maybe correlate who they go with if it's identified turnstile, who they go with, and how do their grades correlate with each other. And if the group of people within that group, they have better grades than other groups and things like that.
Also for marketing purposes too, right? At a certain time of the day, more people come in, you have more intelligence to
what time do your customers come into your store? When do you sell the most? Highest paying? So that's some examples of how to use business intelligence. What about big data? What is big data? And wait a minute, what is big data analytics? Anyone?
Anyone else want to
All
give it a
right.
try? What's the, but that's a good question. What's the difference between BI and big data? I think we're getting now to the point of what's the meaning, right? Because we think about data, use of data in business, and I don't see any difference with big data and
Yeah.
BI. For me,
So
it's the
now,
same thing.
big data. Well, in essence, we are going to be discussing the difference between big data analytics and big data, because people loosely define big data as a lot of data. So pretty much, it's just a lot of data. There's no minimum. It's a subjective uh, measurement of what is big data. So what people tend to refer as big data is something that exceeds the ability of traditional databases. So if you have, for example, a relational database, MySQL, uh, and you cannot store data in that, that's big data. And we'll get to some examples about what kind of data we cannot store in those kinds of databases. And big data analytics is the analysis of big data. And the types of data that is in big data is unstructured data. And not only structured, but unstructured. So BI deals a lot with structured data only, while big data deals with all kinds of data, unstructured and structured data.
Can we
And
take a
that is the main difference.
can we take a step back here? I'm for the non-tech person like me, I have no idea what a relational database is.
A relational database is a database that uses tables of data, which is structured data, and they relate one item to another item in a different table. We can get to examples later on.
Fernanda says here she also has no idea what a relational database is on the comments.
All right, we'll get to that. First, we'll take a look at how to apply big data to your business. So, big data, for example, you can use to measure the sentiment of students towards your school on social media. What does that mean? You take a look, you download all the posts from your clients and students and everyone you can have access to on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and see what they're talking about when they mention your school. And then you measure if they're liking your school or not, and things like that. Would anyone have another example? Give it a try.
Applications of big data. Or whatever Google does, it's deals with big data, right?
Google has a good example of big data, which is how they measure, how do they tell if a email is spam or not. They have a lot of emails that their algorithms read through every day, and then they measure it, whether it's spam or not, depending on the contents or the structure of the email. That's actually a great example.
There's another example here coming from the comments from Gabriela. Maybe for elections to measure the people's preferences.
Yes. There actually has been a scandal with that recently with what was it?
Facebook?
Facebook, yes, but Cambridge Analytics.
Yes.
They measured it, how people felt towards some specific politicians, and they fed data and sometimes fake news. They fed posts and fake news to those people to convert them to be against the runner-up and things like that.
And how was that big data? They were collecting huge amounts of data from people people's comments and profiles from the social networks to see who they could influence for some reason?
Exactly. So they would categorize each person depending on their posts, on their likes, on their comments, and things like that. And they would categorize them and put them into certain groups and feed them posts that would be against or towards the candidate.
Awesome. We have a comment here from Marcelino too. Marcelino, if you would like to speak up, feel free. No, Marcelino is one of our students and works with us too.
Hi, Edson. Good afternoon. Hello, Igor and everybody. Nice to be here with you.
What you had a comment on customer habits and behaviors.
Yes, I think big data is fantastic that we can know more about our clients and customers by the informations that we have about their behaviors, where they go, where kind of restaurants they had the habit to dinner, or where are the places they go with their family. I think how many more information we have from our clients, we can offer more better service and solutions to them.
Exactly. Big data is pretty much used a lot to measure your habits and your behavior. So companies will record what you say, when you say it, and then they will have machine learning algorithms to analyze what you say and feed them information about what you want to eat and what you like, what you don't like, and how you behave towards those subjects.
I just want to make a quick comment. So, someone was speaking. Sorry, I went on top of someone else. Go ahead.
Igor.
Yes.
Can I make one question?
Sure.
About this subject, do you really think that we are 24 hours a day being watched and monitored by our own phones? Because when we are talking here in real life and we talk about some kind of service or product or company, and in 15 minutes this product appears here in my cell phone, but why? How they do this? Do you think that what we talk, what we research, we are looking for in the net, they are all about registering this kind of informations and knowing more about our lives than ourselves?
That is a very high probability, actually. For example, Facebook, they're starting to monitor your WhatsApp conversations. They are changing the policies and the legal terms so that they can monitor you and know what you like, and monitor your conversations to what you like. So Google already developed the technology to listen to what you say at all times. For example, some phones, if you say, "Hey Google," even if it's turned off, or not turned off, but even if it's idle, it will respond to you. So my guess is, yes, it's listening to you all the time. And for them to record this conversation and send it to Google, that could be a very reasonable possibility. So yes, it's a possibility. People haven't really proved it yet, as far as I'm aware, but I have no doubt. Now, I have my doubts about whether or not it does. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would use your information against you. They would use it to sell what you want to buy. possibly. So maybe in the future they might use it against you. So we never know.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. So here we have some tools for data storage. We have structured and unstructured. We'll get more into that. Here we have MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft Excel. These are some tools that developers use and sometimes even analysts use. On the left and on the right, very few of you probably have heard of these tools, Hadoop, Spark, and Cassandra. These are more databases for unstructured data. So, what are the processes of business intelligence? First, we extract all the data from different databases. And remember, these are structured data. We'll get into what structured data and unstructured data is in a minute. We extract these data, and this is probably a lot of data that is a mess. I don't know if you've ever tried to make a report where you work at, and data is complete mess. You have to grab an Excel sheet from somewhere, and then from accounting, they have another Excel sheet, and then the student control in a school would have another Excel sheet with all the grades and all the presents, and then you have to put it all together and make a big report. Well, that's pretty much what business intelligence does. And we have tools for that, such as Power BI, we have Google Data Analytics, we have Knowledge, which is an open source tool. We have Pentaho as well. And what BI does, the process, is it transforms all those data from different sources, and it puts it into a data warehouse. And when it's in the data warehouse, presumably, the data has already been cleaned. And from there, you can transform it into important information, which you will distribute in your business for CEOs, for managers, for analysts who need that data, that information, or to salespeople who would most likely be able to contact the customers to be able to sell better. And how is that different from big data? Well, it's very similar, but first, instead of extracting and cleaning the data, you just throw it all into Hadoop, which is a data lake, which will hold unstructured data. And we will get to what is structured and unstructured data in just 1 second. So it throws into Hadoop, and then in real time, it will transform data into information. And it will use, most probably, artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to do that. Because it's too much data, which humans cannot possibly, well, unless you have an army of people doing it for you, then it would be possible, but highly unfeasible to make reports from that data. So structured data. What is structured data? It's pretty much tables and key value storage. Well, let me put it in other words. Excel sheets and this format right here to the right. So we have band name, Radiohead, band ID, this crazy number, country, Great Britain. If we add a different band here, for example, we would have band name, Coldplay, and ID, another crazy number, country, I think they're from the US or something. And structured data is pretty much, tables is pretty much the columns and rows where you get variable type for each column and a new entry for each row.
Okay, just let me ask a dumb question here. So
there's no dumb question.
the I understand Excel on the left, right? You have a table and you have a bunch of data on the table and you organize the columns and rows. Okay, I think
Yep.
most of us seen that. But then when you come to the right hand side, you have a programming language there, and just saying that those texts in the program do exactly the same thing as the table in Excel, right?
Pretty much. This format here on the right, it's not really a programming language. It's just a key value storage. So you have the key and you have the value and you have this separator here. So this is actually a bit more flexible from the columns, because whenever you need another variable, you just add it here and you don't have to add a column for every row, if you want to put it like that. You just add a key value pair and you just have another entry here, and you don't necessarily have to put it in another band key value pair. For example, if you want to add a band, you just put band name, Coldplay, and you don't have to add a country, for example. And that in that way, it's more flexible.
Okay.
But it's more difficult to manage with software. Let's put it like that. What about unstructured data? Well, unstructured data is pretty much images or videos and text in natural language. What does that mean? Like, let's analyze this image, for example. We have some faces here, so we could do some facial recognition. We have some text over here, so we could do some optical character recognition. And we could maybe get the expression reading on faces of people. You can see that this guy, maybe he's not too happy. This one is kind of bored. This one's a little happier than the other two. And you can analyze that. You can get machine learning algorithms to learn the expression on people's faces and give you the sentiment of their faces and their behavior on certain events, as well as text. How do we analyze text to our advantage? For example, social media. We have here 3 posts, one from Baby Yoda, one from Frederick Hayek, and one from Salma Hayek. Here, Baby Yoda, he's saying that he loves chicken nuggies in a different way, in the Yoda way. Chicken nuggies, I love. Frederick Hayek is saying, I kind of like chicken nuggets. And Salma Hayek is just saying, take a look at this doggo, which has a chicken nugget costume, and he has a lot of chicken nuggets close to him. So these are 3 posts about chicken nuggets. And they're talking about it in 3 different ways. One is with slang, chicken nuggies. One is with proper English, chicken nuggets. And one is with an image. So we have image processing, we have natural language processing in both of these. And we can also take a look at how many retweets, how many quote tweets, how many likes each post have. And I mean, who do you think McDonald's would choose to make publicity for their chicken nuggets?
Baby Yoda.
I'd go with Baby Yoda because he has the most amount of likes. I mean,
but Salma Hayek is better looking.
Yeah, she is. But I mean, Baby Yoda is kind of cute. Look at his little face.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
If I would program a machine to recognize what is the best post in this case, what would be the best to know if between retweets, quote tweets and or likes, what would be the best to elege the better post?
So to elect the best post, you would need data. That means you would have to try out what kind of posts sell more. So for example, you have these 3 posts. Which one of these would sell more? To do that, you would need previous data from different posts to tell you, oh, the ones with the most amount of likes sell more. Or, which is just a hypothesis, you could say, oh, the one with the image sells more, or the one with the proper English sells more. It doesn't, we cannot say without testing it out. So if you have to experiment throughout time, which is the best post. So the tools you would use, you would probably use Hadoop and probably a machine learning algorithm or framework. You can use PyTorch or TensorFlow for that, and you can analyze it. If you want to analyze it through BI, you would have to scrape all the data. And for example, you would just get the retweets, the quotes, and the likes, and you would put that into a structured database. And then you would do the correlations between the posts and the sales. So you could take a look maybe at the time of the post and the time that the sales occurred. Was it after the post? Was it before the post? Did it occur more after or before the post? And things like that. So you would have to look for patterns in the posts.
Understood.
So here are some tools. We have Knowledge, Power BI, Google Data Studio for BI tools. Some of you may have heard of Tableau as well, which is a nice tool to use for BI. On the right here, we have some big data tools, Apache Spark, Hadoop, Google BigQuery, Amazon Redshift, Azure, and Data Factory, which are cloud networks. And here we have some AI tools to help you analyze the information. So you would do a natural language processing with OpenNLP, and then maybe later use TensorFlow to analyze that data and categorize them so you can analyze it and have useful, insightful information for you. I've put here as well some resources, other resources, and I'll go to the question about relational databases as well. Before I open to questions, I'll share my screen again. In Hayek College website, we have started this course called Tools for Entrepreneurship. And within that course,
it's our newest free course.
If you can just click here, and we'll see about data storage and organization. I wasn't able to fit everything into one presentation. So we have what is database, or what is a relational database, and it shows to you the relationships between database and organizations. So pretty much a relational database, for example, we have here, let's say that this is a table, a customer table, where you have the columns And for each column, you would have rows of information. And you have a primary key which identifies each customer. And this primary key will connect to the purchase table, which has their columns, and it will tell you what purchase the person made and the total and the date. So this is a relational database. And whatever exceeds this, it tends to be called big data. So that pretty much sums up a relational database. I have also put up a challenge that for a limited time, whoever creates this, whoever answers, submits the challenge correctly, will receive a prize from Hayek Global College. I've talked to the owner. He already accepted it. So yeah.
That's supposed to be
Take
me?
a look. Oh yeah, that's you.
Yes, we talked. It's okay.
So Hayek College will send a prize to the person, to everyone who has submitted this work and correctly, who has submitted this work correctly. So I'll open the space for any questions that anyone might have.
So just to reinforce there, that's a homework you're giving everybody, right?
Yes.
So everybody that showed up today, you have a homework already. You're not even Igor students, but you have a homework already. And there's going to be a surprise gift if whoever completes the homework, right?
Exactly. And this video, we are recording it. So it'll be posted there as well for future reference. And I'll also post the slides I've presented.
So again, whoever completes Igor's homework successfully is going to receive a surprise gift.
All right. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns?
I have go ahead, someone.
I would like to ask if already exists in the prize, who are specialists in just what's the word is to get all this data but not use it for nothing and just to it works like a room just for the data but not use it for nothing and are used by other enterprise who want to get this data by to make his business better.
So you're asking if there's any businesses that just collect the data and then allows other businesses to use that data for their own purposes. Is that right?
Or even not even collect data, but just if look, for example, I am a company and I have I collect data, but I have so much data that I can't comport in my store or in my
servers.
Yes, my server. So I use other company that have a big service and I'm let this data there and use it when I need.
Yes, a lot of companies do that actually. They just collect the data, and you normally don't have companies that store the data in their own servers anymore. You might have a lot of companies, big companies might do that, but new companies, for example, they would just use Google Cloud or Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure or any other cloud servers. So Amazon is pretty good at that. They are lead market for that, to store data on their servers. So yes, there is a market for that.
Good.
It's possible.
I have another question, Igor. It's a comment with also with a question, more than a question. I had a podcast with Diego Toledo in one of our profit talks. Also, if you would like to take a look, we can send the link later too. And he gave an example, and we were talking about how data analysis can be much smarter than your intuition, our intuition about things. And he gave an example in the supermarket. You have the problem of organizing what you're selling in the best way that you can to sell. So as any business person, like, and our MBA people here are our target students are MBAs, we would like to have a business that would give the most profit possible. And how would you use data to get the most profit possible in a supermarket? Well, you'd have, one of the things is you have to put the things you're selling in the best way possible in the supermarket. And sometimes the intuition of the people when putting the stuff together are not as good as the data analysis of any program or machine learning algorithm analyzing what it is. So he gave an example that, for example, you would never imagine that beers and diapers should be in the same section in a supermarket, because one is a baby stuff and the other is beer and alcoholic drinks. So well, it doesn't match. Why would you have those two together? But then when they any given supermarket, it's a famous story, as he was saying, we're analyzing their CRMs. They noticed that there was a lot of correlation with people who were buying diapers and beers. So it made a lot of sense to put the beer and the diaper in the same section of the supermarket in the end of the day because of the data analysis. And if I were to come to I was working in the supermarket, I was coming to my boss and say like, hey, we should put the beer and the diapers together. He would never believe me. What are you talking about? You're crazy. But when you actually looked at the data, it makes sense. And that's how they got the most sales out of that given case. It was just more of a provocation than a question there.
Yeah, that's true. You get crazy outcomes when you look at data where you wouldn't quite think of it if you hadn't looked at the data. When you look at, for example, but you have to be careful as well, because correlation is not necessarily causation. Like, there is a good chart that shows, for example, people who use more sunscreen, they have more skin cancer. But not necessarily it's because of the sunscreen. It's because people who use more sunscreen, they go out to the sun more. So
there was a hidden variable there. That's the problem.
There's a hidden variable there. Sometimes there's a hidden variable, or sometimes there's no variable at all. For example, there's a correlation between how many roles Nicolas Cage gets and the death of children. I don't know, something like that. There's a chart about that in the internet that shows that there's a correlation between that, but doesn't really have any causation, because I don't think Nicolas Cage's films matter at all to like children somewhere.
Igor?
Hi, Hugo.
Hey. About that thing have you just said about in statistics, you have direct correlation and indirect correlation. So and when you analyze data, you have to be really careful about that, because when we have two independent variables and you have to and you want to find correlation between x1 and x2, and you analyze the data of x1 and x2, and you can have a direct correlation or indirect correlation. So when you said more sunscreen, more cancer, so we can find the direct correlation between morphine screening and cancer. If you only analyze X1 and X2, that's right, you will have a direct correlation, but you have to remember that you have two independent variables. May have another independent variable between the X1 and X2, maybe X3, and have an indirect correlation with both of them. So the path of the analysis come with this direct and indirect correlations between in statistics.
Exactly. So yes, we have to be really careful with the variables we use, whether they have direct or indirect correlations, whether they are dependent or independent variables. So yes, we have to be very careful about the variables that we use and how we analyze them.
And just so the people who didn't understand what was going on here, it's a good idea that you also take our MBA to take Igor's class and where he would go through all that information there. Because like me, I was a little bit lost in the conversation.
Yes, I'll be ministering the class for data analysis on Hayek Global College. So yes, if you want to know more about that, join the MBA.
See.
Very nice. I just want to do a comment. When Edson said about the supermarket example, we also have another kind of situations that improve the changes, the make the clients to shop more, to know more products. There is the kind of the music play in the shop or in the marketing, the temperature, the colors, the sounds. There's a lot of things in data that can decline or incline customer and clients to be more heavy users than they are in normal conditions.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You have that in supermarkets, you have that in websites as well. E-commerce, sometimes they use the colors to attract you to buy. They can gather a lot of information from your behavior through technology, and they will use it to sell more. So sometimes it's a bit scary to think about it, but you don't know if it's you that's buying it or if they are doing some Jedi mind trick that is convincing you to buy things.
That's why even the shopping in different country or states are so equal. All of them have the same inside design, or so are like the same, all white and with uh, low windows to you don't know if the time is going on. So you just go to shopping just to I just will to walk. You are not going. They will not let you just walk. They will make you buy something, even to use the let your car to get there.
That's true. Even supermarkets, they put candy on the bottom shelves when you're on the checkout counter. That's not accidental. It's for your children or who's passing by to see the candy, make a tantrum, and convince you to buy the candy. So that the supermarket is doing that on purpose. So whenever you see a kid having a tantrum in a supermarket, it's the supermarket's fault.
They always put the candies right and where you're gonna buy, pay, By the cashiers,
Exactly.
right? They put the candies in the cashier always. So the kids are gonna be like, I want this candy, because you always have to go to the cashier.
Yeah. And that's all based on data. Like they see that when they put it there, it sells more because parents are just like, oh, whatever, just grab the candy and let's go. So it's based on the data.
Perfect. And
One,
go ahead.
sorry, about one brand called Bavarian Nuts. Do you know? They're very famous. They have some kind of little shops and in airports or shoppings, and depending on the place you put the I don't know how to say kiosk. You put this in a corner. It sells 3, 4, 5 times much more than you put in a place that is not so visible. Is fantastic, the difference.
Oh yeah, I imagine they probably put it in a corner where the smell propagates the most, because I can smell it from really far. Those Bavarian
Really,
nuts.
me too. Me too.
Yes.
It's a good lesson on the decision making that we have in any given company, right? If we're gonna decide, okay, what is the music that we're gonna put in the supermarket? Do we put rock and roll, or do we put sertanejo or country music, whatever? And then the manager is going to come to the director. Oh, I think we should put country music. And he's going to say, oh, why? Because you believe this is a better music? I like rock. And people are going to be like on a discussion to decide what type of music they could put based on their personal preferences. But what should be the best way to do it, right? Is, okay, let's put the music and test it out, see if people like it, or what's the best observed outcome, right?
Yeah, and it's really important to be careful when you do those tests to uh, not forget about other variables as well. If you put it on a Sunday, it's going to be different than on a Wednesday, for example. People are more likely to go shopping on the supermarket to do their weekly shopping on a Wednesday than on a Sunday. So you you have to try to keep the variables the same.
Or the time of the year. Maybe it's close to Christmas and it
Exactly.
sells more. So you have to hold all else equal, right, on the statistics.
Exactly. So you have to account for the variation as well.
Great. We're getting close to the end of the webinar here. It's almost 2. Does anybody have any closing questions? Any last remarks?
I have the last one. Igor, what do you think about this phrase that data is the new gold, the new asset, the best asset the companies have? Do you really believe what you're
Yes.
this information?
That's an amazing question, actually. Thank you for that. Yes, people are considering data the new gold or data the new oil. You can, Diego Toledo explains it way better than I could ever on the podcast. If you watch it, it's an amazing podcast. But pretty much, AI needs big data, and big data needs AI. So people to analyze big data, they need AI, and AI to work properly, it needs big data, because the more data you have, the more accurate the outcomes will be in your analysis through AI. So now companies, in order to give uh, excellent service or excellent software or excellent products, they need a lot of data in order to analyze it and create the product or the service or the software that will best serve the customer. So data is the new oil, is the new gold.
Thank you very much. I agree with you.
Okay, I think we can close now. Thank you, everybody, for watching and participating. Thank you very much, Igor. I really learned a lot today. It was a great honor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. We should do this again.
We definitely have another opportunity, quite a few other opportunities, right? And just a reminder to everybody, the homework is in the website.
For limited time.
Limited time offer. Until when they can turn in for the surprise gift, Igor?
28th of February.
If you turn your homework in until the 28th of February, you will receive a surprise gift from Hayek Global College. So go ahead, go to the website, tell your friends about it, do all that good stuff, and do the homework, and there will be a surprise gift. And also, if you, on January 11 at 1 p.m. Brazilian time, that's next week on a Thursday, we will have another webinar with Professor Jean-Baptiste Jalsaud on becoming an intrapreneur and changing the world around you. Jean-Baptiste is another professor from Hayek Global College. He is in France. He's French, and he's a serial entrepreneur, has done quite a few successful businesses, and I'm sure it's going to be a great podcast to hear about entrepreneurship, which is being an entrepreneur inside your company, right? It's going to be a great talk and some good lessons there. And also, if you have any other questions, suggestions, please comment in our website. You have also YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, again, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, comment on as much as you want. And follow us on the social networks. We are at Hayek College. We are on WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and every channel there. That is the most popular ones. And again, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
See you. Bye. Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Edson. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marcelino.
Bye.
Bye.